Today I have decided I will have a calculation exercise, and today I'm going to be wrestling with Stockfish level 6 bot on lichess.org. So what I did here is I set strength to 6, picked a random side, and set unlimited time so I can think indefinitely. And we get black pieces and the bot plays d3. This is already an indication. I'm going to respond with d5. Exactly to prevent this move, but it happens anyway. And what I'm thinking here is that I can take and then trade the queens. Or this. So my idea here was that if he had taken, I would have traded the queens and take away his castling rights. But he played bishop to e3. The idea is probably to gain a lead in development. So now the question is, do I take and allow him to play like a bishop takes d3? Or maybe I should defend the pawn. But if I defend the pawn, he might play d4, and the doubled e-pawn becomes overexerted. At the same time, if I take on d3, he takes with the queen. I should be fine with that. I cannot allow d4, right? So he takes with the queen. Here I thought of either playing knight to d7 or bishop d7 to block the queen's vision. Which one seems to be more logical? I don't know. I'm gonna play this one. So this is the second move of this queen, which already makes me think I have slight advantage here. Again, I'm a bit hesitant of taking the center, but I probably should do it. Let's play e5. I need to finish my development. Now he plays knight c3, and now I think knight c6, trying to get my bishop to b4. Maybe that's the plan. Or bishop b4 now, to enable castling. That also makes sense. Okay, for now I'm gonna stick with knight to c6, because generally knights before bishops is the rule. Okay, here I wanted to play bishop b4, and it seems like I should be playing it, because then, if I don't play, there might be c5. Is it a problem? Do I have b6 there? I actually might have b6, but then I'm kind of isolating my pawns. e4 now? That seems dubious, because he just moves the knight and my pawn became weak. What about bishop d4, followed by knight to e4? Yeah, so bishop b4 makes even more sense. And now he doesn't want me to play that, see? Wait, the bot might have just blundered. What happens if I play knight to e4? Like, taking on d7 doesn't work, because I have two defenders. He has two attackers. I think that knight e4 just wins. I'm trying to find a counter attack for white. Of course, there's just like a queen to d3, but then I might take. I'm actually doubling his pawns. Okay, maybe I overestimated how strong knight e4 was. Still should be good, but if I indulge that, I might struggle to castle in the future, because the king is the defender of this bishop. But then I can like move my bishop, and my queen is defended twice. So that's fine, maybe bishop g4 here, to add another pin. So now one of these moves wins. Either bishop g4 or knight e4. And I incline into knight e4 because if bishop g4, he takes my queen and all the tension is released. I don't want to miss anything. Like, even after queen d3, the knight is still pinned. So maybe I can apply some more pressure to it. The position is already looking like I have like a lethal punch here. Somehow I don't see it. e4 I thought to follow it up, but bishop g4, but then my queen is under attack. So maybe queen e7 actually is the move. But then knight d5. No, but then I take. Take the queen with a check, and that's a free queen. So I think I don't really want to blunder. Let's play queen e7. And now he probably wants to castle. Do I have time for rook d8? Or maybe even long castling? Rook d8, short castling. There's bishop f5, then queen c1. Suddenly the knight is not pinned. So maybe rook d8, short castling, knight e4. then queen d3 should be losing because bishop f5. Queen c2 or queen b1 are the only moves. And then well, any move basically, knight takes c3 is probably the cleanest. That works. Now for rook d8, short castling, knight e4, queen c1, there. I can just take the knight and double his pawns. But I'm looking for something better. If this knight wasn't here, I would have had bishop a4. But then my rook is hanging with check. Not hanging, but it's a check, so long castling, short castling. Knight e4, queen c1. The knight is not pinned. Knight takes c3, b takes c3. Bishop a3, queen c2. I'm not trapping his queen. But that feels like a good move. Also, he cannot move the knight. What if he moves the queen now? Then. Knight e4 still works. And if bishop g5, I have f6. Looks fine. So he plays short castling. Bishop f5, queen c1. Unfortunately, it doesn't work, so knight to e4 needs to be played. Oh, I think I calculated this and this was no good. Bishop f5. I thought it was winning here. The queen needs to move to one of these squares. Oh, I missed knight d5, but knight d5 I still can... But that's a fork. My bishop is also hanging. I can move my queen, defend my bishop, and then his knight cannot move. Oh wait, there's knight c7. So I cannot move my queen to e6. I think I'm missing something simple. Okay, what if bishop takes c3 first? Then he has to take with a pawn, and then bishop f5. Queen c2, and then I should be able to play knight to g3. Because after bishop f5 now, there is, first of all, queen c2, and then knight g3 doesn't work because knight d5. Although even that is fine. Because after I take, I also attack his rook. But second of all, bishop f5, knight d5, now, and that works. Because he's attacking my queen, say I move my knight, he takes my queen, I take his queen, and I'm losing one of the pieces. And if bishop f5, knight d5, queen e6, I actually blunder on c7, that's what I saw. So I think the cleanest one is to just take on c3. Oh, but the knight hangs. That's what I forgot, but I win the pawn. I completely forgot that he could take my knight. And if bishop takes b2, rook b1, also g6 now works. Because now I'm threatening bishop f5. Oh, he has queen h4. That's incredible. So bishop b2, rook b1. Then I might actually need to drop b7. But what else can I do, right? Maybe just move my bishop. f5. Again, queen h4. So let's just take on b2. He doesn't even play rook b1. Which might be an indication. Why did he play h3? That's what I don't understand. And there's always queen h4, so I cannot trap the queen. But I'm up to pawns. And I'm quite happy with that. And now maybe like a bishop to a3. Or just b6. Bishop a3, I can then come to c5. Trade off this bishop. Let's play bishop a3. Okay. He retreats. Now maybe castling is an option. g6, bishop f5 idea still doesn't work. Castling, bishop d3. But then f5. I need to look out for this diagonal. But now there doesn't seem to be a threat. Okay, here I was planning on playing f6. I mean, taking feels right, because then his rook actually leaves the open file, and then I can move my bishop to e6, for example, and start targeting his pawns. Let's do that. Now let's play bishop to e6 to reinforce my light squares. And he is not letting my queen go to a3. Okay, I have 2 extra pawns. I should be winning. I should have a better endgame. And this pawn is actually more of a liability, because it gets in the way of his rooks and his bishop. And if he moves the pawn, the queen is actually blocked, so maybe I'm even in no interest of taking it. Like now I'm thinking of playing a6 to remove the weakness from the side of the queen. The problem with a6, once my knight leaves the square, the queen can actually infiltrate there. I don't know if that's a concern or not, so maybe b6 instead. But if b6, there's c5. Again, pretty inconvenient. So let's play a6. Rook to d1. Maybe I can just trade all the rooks and go into an endgame. The endgame seems pleasant for me. Also, I have this idea of knight b4, targeting the weak a2 square, but then rook b1. Then I'm actually not winning a2 because rook takes b7. That seems like a concern because my pawns become isolated. What if I play knight d4? Because his bishop is actually unprotected, even though it looks like he wins a pawn temporarily, but it looks like a simplification because knight takes, rook takes, we take multiple times, and when queen takes, I do have a move like bishop takes h3, splitting his pawns, attacking his bishop. Let me verify it. Knight d4, knight takes d4, rook takes d4, rook takes d4, pawn takes d4, queen takes d4, bishop takes h3. The problem is there might be queen to d5. And even though I retract my bishop, he just takes on b6. So knight b4 probably is better. And then after rook b1, knight c2, or rook takes d1. That's another way. Either forcing his bishop away from the defense of the pawn, and then I can play even knight takes a2 there. So maybe let's play knight to b4. Okay, instead he plays this move. But I should just be bringing my rook into the game, because the knight is actually defended. Okay, and now this looks like it forces a trade of some pieces. In the process, I lose on b7 though. Don't necessarily see a good way to distract the bishop. So maybe now it's time to play b6. To meet a3 with some knight move. Although, b6, queen a3. But then a5. That should be fine. Now maybe the plan is to play f5, e4. Or bishop f7, bishop g6. Or simply pull my knight back to try to go to d4. The problem with bishop f7, bishop g6 might be at knight h4. In the future, of course. First he has to move the queen. But then I actually get access to d3. So maybe I actually like this move. Yes, that's what I anticipated. I should just be able to play knight to c6. Okay. And the bot is going completely crazy now. And if I play bishop g6 now, there might be queen b3. I don't want to take though. Maybe now knight d4. And if he takes, I drop the pawn temporarily, but then I regain it on a3. It does look logical, have to admit. Okay, so we trade one set of pieces. Maybe I can take like this. But then bishop takes a6. But bishop takes a6 comes anyway. So might as well just get an open file and a rook behind the pawn. Okay, unfortunately, this move was missed. I thought he had to take on a6. But now a3 is not even hanging because He takes on d8 with check. Rook d6, rook c8, bishop e8, queen b3, or bishop c4. I have to admit I didn't plan all of this. But maybe d3 now, so that he doesn't get to take. I don't want to weaken my back rank, and also allow his bishop to c4. d3, he has to move the bishop, right? Can he take? No, it doesn't look like he can, because I always have this move, bishop to e8. Let's play d3. What? Did I blunder already? It doesn't look like I blundered. It seems like the bot has sacrificed a piece, which means I'm winning. Now I just need to convert it. Like a rook to b3, queen has to move, and then I get to take here. I probably can take this pawn as well. Oh, never mind, there's rook c8. I thought queen b8 and I blocked with my queen in f8, but then rook c8. So maybe a safe way is to just pull the rook back. A rook takes might be possible. Don't want to blunder against the bot. I think this is a free pawn. Okay, let's take. If I lose, I lose. It doesn't look like this move threatens anything. But I cannot play rook e2, rook a2 or rook b3. Because rook c8 again, I'm forced to block with the bishop and I lose my rook. Also, my rook is not under attack. So I think I can just play like a g6 just to create a room for my king. Okay, let's do it, g6. It can't be a bad move. Okay. Queen e6, rook c6. I'm looking for a queen trade. Queen e6 doesn't seem to work. And then I don't actually checkmate him. Because g3, although that's fine, that should be fine. He takes immediately. Okay, there doesn't seem to be a plan. Okay, let's be technical. Let's play g5. Because I want to bring my king on g6. After this move, I wanted to play king to f7. And now if check, I always have this move king g6. Check, I should be able to take as well. Right? There's no need for complications. Yeah, that seems safe. Oh, but now this move works. It is still fine though. Let's give a check. I might get in trouble if I save the bishop. Can I? I should be able to play g4. Okay, let's bring my bishop to b3. And now I should be able to push. If he ever wants to checkmate me, I should be able to play g4. Okay, let's take. I refuse to believe this is losing. Can I now just bring my king? Looks like I can. Just bring my king. There's no reason to get all worked up. I should be able to save this pawn on the light square. Especially if he plays like this, because now check, and I promote a queen. Yes, yes. Can also promote a rook. For humor, Stockfish is probably gonna say it's an inaccuracy and take away some of my points. Okay. That was an intense game. d5 is the most logical move against nonsense like this, because you don't want to allow another pawn to proceed forward. The bot still pushes it and doesn't take back. Here, again, I could have played knight f6 probably, but then the pawn would have been overexerted, and he could have played d4. That's why I took immediately. Queen d3 again. I could have taken, then bishop takes d3, and I'm actually behind its development. So bishop d7 to me is the most logical move. Queen d2 doesn't make any sense, of course you need to develop. And from this point everything was fine, was normal. And here I think it made a slight mistake. Rook d1 definitely was not necessary, even though I didn't see an exact win there. Because, as I said, knight e4, there's even queen d3. And the best thing I can do is double up his pawns. But that's it. So I thought knight e4 was premature. That's why I played queen e7. My idea was to bring the rook, and then have nasty discovered attacks on the queen, which ended up not working either, because it turned out short castling was pretty timely, and now the knight is only pinned to the queen, which is not lethal, so the knight can actually move legally. Now it can't, but generally can. Now knight e4. Again, I didn't see anything better. I thought bishop f5, but then just queen c1. Didn't see anything. And I'm pretty curious if there is a win according to the computer. So the computer thinks black has an advantage here, and already it wants me to play bishop f5 here. But what's the matter if even if he castles? Yeah, there's always knight d5. So knight e4, queen e1, and yeah, and bishop takes e3. Basically, that's the best thing you can do. And now Stockfish wants you to castle. That's quite instructive. Rook d8 is approximately the same. And now, yeah, again, just castling is reasonable. Knight to e4 doesn't really do anything except doubling the pawns. Queen d3 I thought was losing, but the knight is hanging. That's what I forgot about. And if I play bishop f5 to protect it, or f5, he actually has knight d5, forking me, removing one of the key attackers, which restricts the queen. If I try to save it, well, first of all, I'll lose my queen, and if I go queen e6, I lose my queen by virtue of a fork. So I think this is literally the best I could have done. And then here, not playing rook b1. Yeah, that's very weird. I don't really know what I would have done if he played that move. I would have needed to play like a bishop a3, because if I play queen a3, there's queen c2. And I still have to move my bishop. h3 just doesn't make any sense. f6 is the only move here. And here I really thought whether I should play a6 or b6. The problem with b6 is he can actually play c5. And all of a sudden, I have some pressure on my b6 pawn. Also, when he takes, my knight gets under attack. If I take, that's obviously a trade. His bishop activates, so I didn't like b6. And I played a6. Still, I wasn't sure it was the best move. But now, the plan became quite simple. If rook b1, I would have taken on d1. For example, the bishop takes. And what did I want to play here? I already don't remember, but maybe like rook d8. That's fine. Rook d2 though, I didn't expect. But this loses a tempo on the queen. b6, because my knight is guarded. And queen b1 is just too passive. Why would you play queen b1? Probably to avoid a trade, but I can force trade with different ways. Of course, here I could have brought my knight back. Bishop f7 with the idea of bishop g6 was quite a find. And then this move c5, something I overlooked as well. Maybe here I could have played knight a5 and tried to play knight to b3. The knight would have been quite solid there, but instead I played knight d4, which leaned into some trades. And here what I completely overlooked is this move queen takes b6. Only thought of bishop a6 and then queen a, and then I thought I was winning. But queen b6 is tricky, although I'm still winning, maybe even in multiple ways. d3 I think is the most solid, and he sacrifices the bishop. I mean, you could have still played a game here, but probably if bishop d1 and I play d2, there's always queen e1 lurking. Again, a safe move here is rook to d8 and trying to slowly win this pawn, but why? If I can just win the pawn. Didn't see any threat. It's very important that I don't take with a queen, because rook c8, rook c8 now, or queen b8 first. Of course, I would have blocked with a queen. That's what I saw, and then rook c8. And here I'm losing, of course. So it's never too late to blunder the game. Rook takes a3 is fine. Here it's very important. I don't play this. Why? Because rook c8. I need to block with the bishop, and suddenly my rook is not guarded anymore. Trading the queens might have been hasty. I thought rook c6, and I should have be giving a check, and then play like queen e5. But he just traded. g5 is the idea. Is of course I want to bring my king to g6, so that when this happens, I have queen g6. I have king g6. h5 doesn't work, and then I slowly win the game.